Hello, and thank you for joining me here with Parents and Kids Parent Points. I'm Gretchen Cook of Parents and Kids Media. We publish Parents and Kids Magazine. And today on Parent Points, I have a really special guest. She is Dr. Justine Green. And Dr. Green, I'm just going to let you introduce yourself because your story is so fascinating.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me here. It's such an honor to meet you and be part of this. I am Dr. Justine Green, and I was born with atresia and microtia, which meant that I am deaf in my left ear because I am actually missing an ear canal, and I do not have an eardrum, and the ear that I was born with was deformed. I went through 3 reconstructive surgeries before the age of 9, so I was in and out of doctors' offices, hospitals, and other than that, I really felt like a normal kid. But it wasn't until other people pointed it out that I noticed these differences. And when I was looking around to feel like I wasn't alone in books and TV and media, there was nothing around like that. And I really needed a book or a character that made me feel special. And that's what I was able to do. I actually received my bachelor's in elementary and special education. I went on to Teachers College at Columbia University for my master's in educational policy. I worked in inclusive classrooms with students with disabilities. And then I actually went on for my doctorate in educational leadership, and I focused on students with disabilities. And that's where I found that when it comes to disability identity, that people with disabilities do not reach the acceptance stage of who they are until their late 20s. And I said, that's not fair. We should instill that love of ourselves as we are at such an earlier age. And I put all of my talents together and my interests together, things that are on my heart and in my heart. And I wrote Completely Me, a story about me growing up, and it actually is based on a character from a picture of me when I was 5. So you know this is really me. It's my story, and I'm here. I'm your friend, and I love you. And I wrote a second story called Completely Emmy. This is based on a little girl named Emerson, who I actually interviewed and used a lot of her own words. And this is a cerebral palsy story. I'm also a principal of Tamim Academy Elementary School, and I'm also a general studies teacher.
Okay, so you are highly qualified to basically inform our audience. These books you've written, I was so impressed. They're award-winning books. They're available on Amazon.com. And the author named Justine Green is what you type in. They pop up really quick. In fact, I bought one this morning. I like it when you look at them on a Kindle Fire because the illustrations are in color.
Yeah.
So these books, you've just given a bit of your backstory. Tell me now, they're rhyming books. They have cute little rhythms. I know they're going to stay with kids. Talk to me now about your experience when you read this book to a group of children.
So this is actually made to be also a tool for parents, a tool for educators, grandparents, and it's a way for us to have a uncomfortable conversation about differences and make it something that the children understand. It's rhyming book that explains that these differences that we all have, our imperfections, are what makes us perfect, and that everyone is different. We're all unique, and that's even what I ask them. I ask, like, do I need an ear? And someone else points out in Completely Emmy that she's different. She's wearing braces. Ooh, and in each book, there's a child pointing at the character. And that's a teachable moment. Is it kind? How do you think they feel? These books are supposed to not only be an easy thing for these kids to understand, but it's going to be a door that opens up into a really productive conversation with the child.
That makes so much sense. And I think we forget that one of the main goals, I think, of young children's books is character building. And they teach resiliency, and they teach morals, and they teach manners, being polite to one another. Really, all that's character building, and young minds are very formable. And what you're doing just helps instill that very early. That I love the way you said that. That your imperfection makes you perfect.
It's true. And that idea of normal, or or I'm normal. What is this normal when everyone is different and everyone is special? And even Dr. Seuss said this so long ago, there's no one that's youer than you. And we need to instill that self-acceptance and that love from an early stage. And I have noticed from being bullied and everything else that came with being very different physically at a young age, that a lot of those issues stem from the lack of knowledge or understanding. And there's so many parents out there who are so nervous to talk about these differences. What if I say something wrong? What if I'm not politically correct about it? And that should never stop us from introducing these character traits, like you just said, and these morals and understanding to children. And this is meant for children as young as, looking at books, 0 to however old, because it's in a way for them to understand. It's a friendly, acceptable way. I have a son who's 3 years old, and the other day he picked this book to read. He loves this book. And he actually said, he's like, "Do you need an ear?" And I look and I'm like, "Well, what do you think?" And he said, "No, mommy, you're perfect just the way you are." I melted into a puddle, let me just tell you.
Well, you say they're good for very, very young children. I think there's a lot of treats in here for adults too. Would you mind reading aloud the book about you?
It would be my absolute pleasure. So, without further ado, this is completely me. Once upon a time, in a land not so far away, Justine lived in a place where people were helpful every day. And that's true. We all are helpful in some way every day. There's also a hidden butterfly on every page, so don't forget to look for them and find them everywhere. They all looked out for one another as if they were sister and brother. Well, Justine loved to smile and help her friends out, but she was missing an ear, which is what this story is about. And look, there I am. Hi. Justine had never noticed that she was missing a piece. She only knew something was wrong because someone told the police. Oh no. The police searched all over the town and asked everyone everywhere. They asked the whole town for help, and soon enough, people started to stare. Oh, and look at this little boy. He's pointing at her. How do you think that'll make her feel? Oh no, they cried. You're missing a piece of you. You must feel sad or lonely. Are you down and blue? I feel just like my normal self, said Justine, who became scared. Do you think I need an ear? Yes, yelled the people who came prepared. The people, being helpful, brought everything they could, from potatoes to Play-Doh, orange slices to wood. So many helpful people, all running to help Justine, but she didn't need any help. She found it all to be pretty mean. What were they trying to make for her? An ear. Justine was always proud to be different and unique. She climbed up on a fire truck and decided it was her turn to speak. My friend, she said, I might be missing my ear, but there is something important you all need to hear. I'm proud to be me, and I'm happy in my heart. I might be missing an ear, but I have been whole from the very start. Everyone stopped right there in the street, and what happened next was so warm and so sweet. The townspeople all gathered to say that little Justine taught them the way. Everyone is perfect, and that is true. You're never missing anything. You're perfect as you. The end.
Oh, Justine, that is a beautiful story.
Thank you so much.
And we do a lot with special needs here at the magazine, and in non-COVID periods, we have a special needs symposium. This book would be appropriate for any child with special needs, for a family of a child with special needs, because it's just so wonderful with this message.
Thank you very much.
And the part about everyone wanting to help. I once met a lady who had a child with Down syndrome, and something she said to me was, they want to be able to go to a restaurant and just be treated normally. They don't want to be that family. And she said people kill them with kindness, and all they want to do is be treated like an absolutely normal family. And I had never thought of it that way. And she said people kill us with kindness, and it's embarrassing.
You know, it's so true. And I feel like there's been such a shift within the past 50 or so years where we went from don't stare, don't look at them, to all of a sudden it's like, hi, you're a person. Look at that. I should treat you nicely. And now it's almost like we're killing them with kindness, or we're not sure if we should talk directly to the person with disabilities. There's been a lot of times where children have told me that sometimes when someone walks up, they talk to the person next to them rather than directly to them. And that's degrading. That makes them feel really sad. And there are so many ways for us to validate everyone. And it's all about just treating everyone with kindness and treating everyone the same, regardless of what you look like, how you walk, how you talk. We're all just people with hearts and with minds. So it's really important. And I think that's true.
That makes so much sense. I recall my matron of honor in my wedding is a paraplegic. And when we traveled once together, I was astounded. She had told me this would happen. People would speak to her very loudly using short sentences. And she would be like, I just can't walk. My ears and brain are fine. But it was just instinctive. And I think people were trying to be nice and like, hello, how are you? And she was just rolling. And, she had some zingers to go back. But we still slip. We don't know. And this book is really good because it just says we're ordinarily normal.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to be.
And I really feel like that's how young Justine felt. I had two brothers. I played sports. I loved getting dirty. I loved school. I played music. I was a normal kid. And that's how I really felt until other people pointed out my differences. Mm-hmm. And that's what I wanted to show them. I get asked a lot, and I think this is a really funny question. What is it like only having one ear? And you know what I say back? I don't know any differently. What's it like having two ears? And this little girl, as I did an author visit recently, her response was, it's like one, but then another. And I'm like, thank you so much. But, it's so interesting because we only know what it's like to feel like ourselves. So that's why I try to continuously teach about the fact that you're imposing this idea of missing something, this idea of being incomplete to children with disabilities, people with disabilities, when all they know is that this is how they are, this is who they are. Mm-hmm. And for them, that's normal. And that's not fair for others to impose that on them.
And I just come back to every human being is made in the image of God. Mm-hmm. And God knows what he's doing. And I think that's fundamental. When you go to the common denominator created in the image of God, there's no room for ridicule or anything like that.
That's true. And that was beautiful.
Well, there's more books in this series. So tell me about the next book and then any upcoming books.
Yes. So this next book is called Completely Emmy. It's a little girl named Emerson who I know personally. She was born with cerebral palsy, and she's actually 7 years old. And we had multiple interviews. I know her personally. So I started to ask her, okay, well, how would you explain cerebral palsy to other people? What do you notice that people say to you? How would you explain it? How do you defend yourself? What do you say? What do you wish you could tell everyone? So I actually, on the back of the book, explain that many of her own words are in this book. I am really telling another child's story. And that is what I wanted to continue to do. Each disability can range on a very large spectrum of severity. And I didn't want to make up some sort of a character and display each disability in one way or another. I wanted to be truthful to this idea of this is Justine's friend. She's a new friend with a new disability, and this is her story. And then I actually am in the process of illustrating and writing my third book. It's going to be called Completely Math. It's about a little boy with ADHD, and it's actually my brother. And it's really exciting. It's something that he's dealt with, obviously, his entire life, and I'm excited to tell that story as well. Something that affects such a large part of our population. I think so many people are going to relate to that. And I'm going to continue the series by introducing new friends with new disabilities. And I am going to actually be opening a part of my website to allow children from around the country to submit their own story for a potential new book.
Oh, that is wonderful. Now, can you share your website address?
Yes, it's our publishing company, Green, like the color, rosepublishing.com. It'll also bring you there if you do completelymebook.com.
Okay, great. And I found it on Amazon. And by the way, you have some excellent reviews out there. So I feel you're on your way to success. And I think what you're doing is something very much needed. And so I want to thank you on behalf of all the parents whose children benefit.
I'm going to cry. That was really sweet. And I have really thought about this for a very long time. And I truly believe that this is going to help so many children and families around the world. And it means so much to me that you just said that. So thank you for all of your kind words.
Well, Dr. Green, I realize you are at your elementary school right now.
Do you see my beautiful wallpaper?
I do. It is gorgeous. I will let you get back to your real life children. But once again, thank you for joining me. Audience members, please go look this book up. We're going to flash on the screen web addresses, and just know it's available on Amazon. And just get the word out about this. Share this video with other people who have children, families that would really benefit from just a loving, kind book like this.
Thank you. I agree. And please, if you do reach out to me, it would be my pleasure. If you are a school, I would love to do virtual author visits. Let's get the word out. Like you just said, I'm here to help others.
Oh, that is awesome. Okay, schools, virtual author visits. I'm all on top of that. So now we have an action item to add to this parent point, which is contact Dr. Justine Green and schedule a visit for your child's group or organization or school. And, school's running out here, but we can start booking you up now for next fall too.
I love that.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. This was a pleasure.